Okay, well, good morning. My name is Tom Isakovich. I'm the founder and CEO with Nimbus Data Systems. And today I'll first start with a little bit of background on who we are at Nimbus, and then spend most of my time discussing a few predictions that we have at Nimbus as far as where the flash memory industry is headed. So Nimbus Data is the leader in developing and providing into the market intelligent flash memory-based storage systems. We're the only company in the market today with a unified solid-state memory platform. By unified, I'm talking about the convergence of both SAN and NAS infrastructure, SAN and NAS protocols on a single flash memory-based system. As a company, we've been shipping products now for over 2 years. Our products have best-in-class performance, efficiency, and rack density. To us, we believe that flash memory is very heavily about performance, but just as important around flash memory are the rackonomics of the solution. How many terabytes can you put in a rack? How much power consumption will it draw? How can you extract as much efficiency out of flash memory as possible? And finally, we believe that flash memory can be affordable and is affordable today. We also believe it can be affordable without solely relying on data reduction or data deduplication to achieve that. Now, as a company, we were founded back in 2006. We're privately held. We have over 200 customers today. We've been profitable since 2009, and we've won a number of different awards. Our products won Product of the Year 3 times from different publications, and we've also been voted a 3-time top 10 storage startup. So the enterprise storage market, as we see it, is basically divided into 2 camps today, what IDC will call primary storage on one end and nearline storage on the other. Now, within that primary storage segment, it's about a $12 billion spend today, and virtually all of that revenue is going to 15K and 10K RPM-based disk drives. Now, what we see happening over the next few years is a rapid shift of primary storage away from spinning media to solid-state technology. And in the process, customers are going to gain significant performance advantages as well as significant operating cost reduction. Now, I want to point out that we agree that there's approximately just 2 tiers when it comes to enterprise storage, a primary tier and a nearline tier. And Nimbus is exclusively focused on the primary storage tier, not the capacity or nearline tier. Now, of course, the primary reasoning around solid-state technology has been performance. And as this chart demonstrates here, if you really look at the last 12 years, everyone knows solid-state is fast, but I'm not sure everyone has really grasped quantitatively how far behind spinning disk is compared to the rest of the infrastructure. If you look at CPUs, they've increased about 30-fold in performance over the past 12 years. In terms of networks, they've increased 400-fold over the past 12 years. Even the PCIe bus has improved in performance 48-fold over the past 12 years. But physics and other limitations have kept drives spinning at 15,000 RPM. And the reason I point this out is because the industry, the storage industry and customers are not in need of a 50% boost in their performance or even a 2x boost in their performance. They've got to find a way to overcome 12 years of performance neglect. And the only way we believe that's going to happen is by moving to an all-flash infrastructure that gives predictably high performance with predictably low latency. At the same time, if you look at Gartner's latest figures, they are observing that the data center OpEx, particularly power consumption, storage is now responsible for nearly as much power consumption as the entire server compute infrastructure in a modern data center. At this cost rate, it basically works out to about 0.5% or so of worldwide power consumption is relegated to storage devices. So this is a pretty significant contributor to OpEx. And the exciting piece about flash technology that's overlooked oftentimes is its power efficiency. It fundamentally draws significantly less power per terabyte than conventional spinning disk. Now, engineered properly, and this is the value proposition that Nimbus Data extends to its customers today. If you compare a conventional 15,000 RPM-based disk array against an all-flash solution from Nimbus, these are the metrics that we believe customers judge us by and what has led to our success to date. In terms of IOPS, without question, an all-flash solution will crush a spindle-based solution. You don't have to worry about the mechanical aspects. You don't have to worry about rotational latency. You will get predictably low latency, and that will deliver high IOPS. At the same time, it will also deliver significantly greater throughput. In fact, this morning we announced that a third-party lab called Demartech, one of the industry-leading voices in solid-state technology, published some validated performance numbers on the Nimbus platform and found that our solution was about 4 times faster in performance than even competing other flash memory systems, and well beyond the performance of what's possible with 15K disk arrays. At the same time, an all-flash solution will dramatically reduce power consumption and cooling. And if you look at, for example, a 10 terabyte storage infrastructure based on disk versus one based on flash, and actually calculate the kilowatt hours as well as the BTUs over a 5-year period, it's about 80% lower with flash. If you also examine rack space consumption, it's remarkable to note that flash already is denser than disk, denser than 15K disk if it's engineered properly. And for all the achievements in areal density around disk technology over the past 10 years, and they've been substantial, already today with the Nimbus product, we can put about 4 times more capacity per rack than can be done with 15K disk. At the same time, today we are delivering this technology at an acquisition cost per terabyte that is competitive to the acquisition cost per terabyte of 15K disk. And we're also doing so with generally less expensive ongoing maintenance. So presented with this kind of value proposition, I have yet to discover a customer that really wants to hang on to their conventional spinning disk technology. If the acquisition cost per terabyte is virtually identical, in every circumstance, we believe that flash memory wins, and this is a solution we're delivering today. So as I mentioned, we have about 200 customers today, and the first adopters of our technology, all-flash primary storage, have really been focused on a few key applications, namely virtualization and databases. When we look at virtualization, we're looking at both server virtualization as well as VDI, or virtual desktop infrastructure. Now with server virtualization and VDI, you create a randomizing of the I/O pattern that puts an enormous amount of pressure on a shared storage system. So this is a perfect opportunity for an all-flash infrastructure to deliver significantly greater performance. Same goes for database clusters. All DBAs are looking for ways to improve the I/O performance out of their databases, whether it's Oracle or SQL Server or MySQL or Postgres or DB2. A DBA's job 9 times out of 10 tends to be focused around performance optimization. Moving to a flash infrastructure certainly will dramatically improve performance by reducing latency and increasing IOPS. And there are other market use cases. For example, in the high-performance computing area, such as EDA companies or oil and gas companies, companies that have to process large amounts of data in real time, flash technology, because it can ingest data at a very, very rapid rate and also process small IOs at a very, very rapid rate, are very exciting technologies. And Nimbus is going to be announcing some pretty exciting customers in that HPC domain shortly as well. So I've talked a little bit about Nimbus, and I'd like to share with you a little bit about our view on where this industry is headed. I think, after all, that's the thrust of this symposium and talking about the future. So I'm going to share a little bit about what we think some predictions are in the market. First and foremost, we believe that a unified storage infrastructure is a fundamental requirement to compete in the enterprise storage space. Over the last 10 years, there's been incessant talk of convergence, that convergence will happen. Convergence makes academic sense. It really, really does. But in reality, convergence has not happened. If you look at customers that we talk to today, we see customers that want to use Ethernet, some want to use fiber channel. There's an increasing amount of customers that are using InfiniBand. If you look at Mellanox's latest earnings report earlier this week, you can certainly see that. They're knocking the cover off the ball. So in fact, convergence is not happening. It's actually almost the opposite. It's diverging. And customers are looking to do iSCSI. Some customers are wedded to NFS. Other customers are exploring FCOE. Then you have diehard customers that are doing fiber channel protocol. And then customers that are in the HPC space or building database clusters and sort of Exadata-like alternatives that are looking to do so with InfiniBand, because nothing delivers better latency and better throughput than InfiniBand. So we're big believers that a multi-protocol storage infrastructure is a fundamental requirement to competing in the business. Secondly, we believe that the so-called Tierzero niche increasingly becomes an even smaller and smaller niche over the next few years. I don't believe there's really a long-term market there. Tierzero, in our view, will be swallowed by better Tier 1. That if Tier 1 moves to all flash, then what's the value proposition of Tierzero? Maybe they have a slightly better performance profile in very, very narrow use cases. But that use case will continue to narrow, and get narrower. From a scalability perspective, from a price perspective, and from a software perspective, an all-flash Tier 1 solution will be superior to Tierzero. So it's going to be very, very difficult, we believe, for Tierzero to continue to advance a value proposition to customers that's compelling. We see that market eventually being enveloped by next generation Tier 1. Third, there's some talk already so far about needing to take a clean sheet of paper and purpose build a new kind of flash platform. But so far, none of the speakers today, in my view, have actually really done that. They certainly talk about being purpose-built, but at the end of the day, it's commodity hardware. It's Dell servers or Supermicro servers, the very same servers that are being utilized for disk subsystems. That's not terribly purpose-built. Commodity servers are built for drives. They have significant bottlenecks that prevent taking advantage of the performance potential and the density potential of flash. And that's one thing that Nimbus demonstrated with our validation report earlier today, that with our solution, based on a non-blocking architecture, a proprietary controller design, we're able to deliver 4 times more performance and significantly greater capacity density than off-the-shelf alternatives. So our view is that that market needs to change, that flash technology truly needs to be purpose-built, not just in the presentation, but in the way the actual hardware is engineered as well as the way the software is engineered. And if it's not, and there is no value proposition to being purpose-built, then what are these startups hoping to do? It's very easy for Dell or IBM or EMC or NetApp to simply yank out HDDs and put in SSDs. If the existing hardware were competent, that's what they would be doing, but it's not. And that's why we believe a really purpose-built hardware platform is essential. Next, I believe in some respects that the PCIe flash market, which is very interesting, and I hope we have some speakers on this later today, I personally believe that its most profitable days are actually behind it. And the reason we feel this way is there's many, many other elements that are all attacking and entering this space. On one end, you have DRAM. If you look at the latest Intel servers, the new Romley platform, they allow you to add huge amounts of DRAM into the servers. And in fact, DRAM today, DRAM DIMM pricing, because of the volume, is actually quite competitive, if not less expensive than SLC flash, which is what is typically used in these PCIe flash offerings. At the same time, DRAM does not require any special filter drivers for caching. So you don't need to go with some third-party software that can lock you in. DRAM works with everything. And the more DRAM you put in, the more caching you're going to get. At the same time, there are many companies entering this space. Intel, for example, recently announced a new product, I think that's around $5 a gig for PCIe flash, which is about a quarter of the price of other flash solutions, PCIe flash solutions in the market. So there's a great amount of commoditization. And we see all these factors really combining to push the cost of PCIe flash down. So I'm not saying that there isn't a wonderful market here. There's going to be a lot of revenue here. But I do believe from a profitability perspective, this market will see pressure over the next couple of years. There's been some talk about deduplication, and deduplication, in my view, is a vital technology, but a technology that all companies that want to compete in enterprise storage, if they don't already have it, will have. Customers are expecting this technology, and I think customers are smart. They're going to know that they need to ask vendors to be candid about their pricing. There's a raw pricing per gigabyte, there's a usable pricing per gigabyte after formatting and RAID, and then there's a potential price per gigabyte based on whatever your dedupe ratio achievement may be. So I just want to make sure everyone in the audience is cognizant of being very clear with their vendors about pricing and being openly candid about whether they're being priced based on potential deduplication or price based on the actual hardware that they're getting. And finally, in my view, the all-in-one hybrid system, which is an interesting technology, I think in the long run becomes a very tough sell. And the reason for this is because flash is getting cheap. The cheaper flash gets, the less unique value proposition disk brings to bear from a cost perspective. And if you think about disk still has all sorts of other problems besides cost. It breaks, it fails, it creates a lot of heat, it doesn't tolerate vibration well. There are many challenges with disk. So in our view, as flash prices continue to decline and deduplication becomes the norm, this is going to make all flash solutions price competitive with hybrid solutions. And in fact, we've already seen this today and won successfully as a company against hybrid solutions that were motivated by price per gig. So I hope we have an opportunity in the later panels today to discuss some of these topics. And thank you very much for the opportunity to present to you today.